The Secretary of State will be particularly aware that Worcestershire is a very attractive place to live, work and visit, and a particularly attractive place to retire, which is why we have a disproportionately large elderly population. How is the Department factoring in the additional needs of the more elderly population areas in its long-term funding plans? The manifesto I stood on in 2015 not only promised an in-out referendum on Europe, but also stated that we will honour the result of the referendum, whatever the outcome. And I committed during the referendum campaign that I would personally respect the referendum result, even if it was decided by just one individual vote. In the end, the difference was more than 1 million votes.
Before I get on to questions, can I just share your frustration, Chair, about Viagogo not being present today? If not contempt of Parliament, they've clearly shown lack of respect to parliamentarians and, by extension, the British public, and I think we all need to be very angry with that. But this morning I looked at a ticket sale on Viagogo for Little Mix on the 7th of July. Tickets that have a face value for £45 being sold for £711 each. So with booking fees, VAT and ticket handling, the total price for 2 tickets, value £45 each, is £1,915.19.
That's crazy.
What do you think of that?
That's atrocious.
The problem is that we've heard again and again from the FA over a period of many years that they recognise the deficiencies and challenges and that they intend to change. And in fact, they've been talking about this reform for 50 years. Change has not come and time is running out. I have a great deal of respect for Greg Clark, but I get the feeling that his hands are tied and that a sense of institutional inertia pervades the governance of football in this country. The Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee recently visited Belfast, where we were able to visit the Game of Thrones set. EU funding as such did not come up, but access to a UK talent pool did. Does she believe, therefore, that government investment should be focused on building that talent pool?
I have just chaired a meeting of the Cabinet where we agreed that the government should call a general election.
Well, it's a real privilege to be a Member of Parliament, and that so many people put their trust in me is very humbling, and I really appreciate that support. I speak as a representative of an area of the country that has no tower blocks, but the overwhelming wish of my constituents is for us to have timely implementation of any recommendations that come out of a public inquiry in a non-partisan manner. And recognising that this may come at a considerable cost to the public purse, is the Prime Minister aware that across the country that is the will of many people and that is acceptable?
Yes, and it is absolutely the case that any recommendations that come out of this public inquiry, because they will be recommendations about keeping people safe.
The Minister is aware that the UK farming sector is highly reliant on EU labour. What discussions has the Minister had with DEFRA and others about the potential reintroduction of a seasonal agricultural workers scheme? What does the second female Prime Minister believe should be done to get even more talented women into Parliament?
I think he is playing his own role in helping to support Women to Win, the organisation within the Conservative Party which encourages women to see Parliament as a career for them and to gain the expertise and the skills and to ensure that they come forward onto these benches.
Nigel Huddleston.
Divorce and family breakdown takes an emotional toll on all those involved, but the family dynamic often overlooked is that between grandparents and their grandchildren. If access to their grandchildren is removed or blocked, some grandparents call this a form of living bereavement. Will the Prime Minister therefore join me, Dame Esther Ranson and thousands of grandparents across the country in calling for a change in the law to give grandparents access rights to their grandchildren, as is the case in France? Yeah. Many teachers in my constituency tell me they spend a lot of time on their pastoral care responsibilities, particularly relating to mental health. What's the government doing to help those schools where children's mental health is a particularly acute issue? And in 2010, the tax-free allowance was a measly £6,475. It's now £11,500, and I'm very pleased it will be going up to £11,850 next year. That's enabled us, the Conservatives, to take 4 million of the lowest paid out of paying income tax altogether, and the average taxpayer saves over £1,000 in their tax bill every year.